And we back. Yeah. Malcolm.
Yeah.
Do all Asian Americans think the same?
I would think not. Just like all black people.
I wonder how this is going to go.
All women don't think the same.
I really wonder how this is going to go. Just for the simple fact, like, are they judging like Americans?
Oh, you mean like
all,
Asian Americans or
like, I wonder if they are going to do that. Like, if they get like real actual Asians from Asia, I guess, or wherever the fuck the Asians come
wherever,
from.
like,
and then they compare them with like Asian Americans and see the difference between that. I don't know what they're going to do. That sounds interesting though. That'd be a fucking culture shock. Somebody should start doing that. Get actual Africans and shit like that, and then compare them with like African Americans, or like not like stereotyping whatever the case is, but like
think how
I don't want to like judge them either, but like see like the differences and shit like that, or comparisons. That's an idea, Jubilee. Write it down. Take it. Pay us.
Pay us.
But, do all Asian Americans think the same? I just wonder if it's like Americans. Do you think all Americans say hiya in all their karate movies or some shit? I don't know, nigga. I was curious. I don't know. I don't know where this is gonna go. Ready, Michael?
Yeah.
Starting in 3, 2, 1.
Asian stereotypes and jokes are so played out. Yeah. It's the same shit that we've heard for the last 50 years. Like, miss me with that. It's so boring at this point.
So maybe we can say it. It won't hurt your feelings then, right? That's what it kind of sounds like to me.
That's a nice shirt you got on, by the way.
I missed it. Asian food is American. It depends.
Yeah. He's like, oh no! He's like disagreeing.
Describe American food though.
Yeah, that too.
I agree with her.
Hamburgers and meatloaf and stuff.
Yeah, and meatloaf and mashed potatoes and stuff. So I'm like, of course, Asian food's better than that.
I was just denied Asian food for a long time. My mom wanted to be Caucasian. She wanted me to grow up as a white person. And I think I was maybe 10 or 11 when I truly like experienced Korean cuisine. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing.
What she's saying I find really common because when I grew up, my parents were both people from Vietnam. Like, they wanted us to assimilate as much as possible and not be made fun of. So I love Asian food too. I am, but I'm from Texas, so I grew up on like chicken fried steak and biscuits and all kind of stuff. So I fucking love it.
I like gravies and biscuits.
I'm pretty sure that's in the career. Oh, disagrees. Okay, surprising. I always thought like cultures like that.
My dad doesn't care.
Boss. I always thought like cultures like that. They like want to keep it inside the same
That's
culture
like
and shit like that. It's probably a stereotype too. At the same time, I'm not fucking sure,
Yeah.
but I thought like that's what like a lot of not even just Asians like
every other country,
like a lot of other races and shit like that.
Yeah, that's like the old. I would say the old way of thinking.
Yeah.
Because like you could see that with like every other culture, even with like black.
Yeah.
Like
people,
everybody,
for some
like,
reason people get mad. Some
now,
black people get mad when you're dating a white person or an Asian person or like whatever the case is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
fucking date a blue person. I'm like, why she ain't green, bro? Like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, every like I guess with every leap we take with I guess in the world, like you see boundaries like I guess getting, or I want to say not boundaries, barriers getting knocked down and stuff. Like
I probably understand. It's probably like an old Asian thing. Like old Asians probably want like
it's
Asians
just like
Asians, kind of like old,
it's just
like old white people.
Yeah, it's just like every culture was like
they don't want you procreating
like
with
that.
other races.
Yeah, they were like they were like
it's old
like,
people shit.
Yeah, because like because I want to say like I hear that a lot with like old people like because I had one friend in particular and like they parents like, oh, I hope you marry, they just like believed in like the whole black love thing, and like they like totally against like people just like dating outside the race and stuff. They just want like, you know, I done it, your grandma done it, your great grandma done it, and it's like, well, I'm not neither one of them, so
y'all want some Lannister shit going on.
Y'all
did this for y'all long time.
No, but yeah.
Yeah, I just thought that. I didn't know. Starting getting 3-2, man.
He's happy no matter if I'm happy. My mom never specifically said it, but it was almost like if I don't bring home a Korean or a Caucasian, which is her preference, like I don't know if she's gonna disown me. I don't know. Will she kind of push away a little bit from me? And I don't want that.
My parents,
so you're scared.
At one point in time, were very heavily like, you need to marry like a Vietnamese person, but as I got older, I understood why for them, because it's more about, we just want to be able to relate to the person that you're actually with, so we can talk to them too.
That's
for
legit.
me, it's
Sometimes.
really interesting because
I can understand that reason.
a black woman. I'm Chinese Malaysian, but I grew up with a white father. Like, white people were definitely always an option, but then, you know, other groups of people, it's like, well, we're not really sure that they're like that great.
That often seems to be the case. It's like you can date white or Asian and everyone else off the table for some reason.
Yeah, it is weird.
Asian stereotypes are funny. 3, 2, 1.
What's that?
Everybody should step.
But I don't get what they mean by like Asian stereotype. So I'm gonna wait.
Funny?
Are funny?
I feel like, somewhat disagree.
We're not judging. You can choose
what was
whatever
the
you want.
decision making in your head during that?
Well, my
moment?
head is
He's
like,
not sure.
Stereotypes are a reflection of perceived behavior, and also I write comedy, and so I'm constantly thinking of ways to maybe subvert a stereotype to get a laugh. I feel like it's always dangerous though, because you never know if the joke is going to be perceived as like, oh, they're making fun of the stereotype or they're reinforcing the stereotype.
But even then, you're saying like the stereotype itself is not funny, but your subversion of it is.
Okay,
So
maybe I'll move down. See?
I think I'm just like tired of like Asian stereotypes and jokes are so played out. If it's the same shit that we've heard for the last 50 years in like American culture, then like miss me with that. It's so boring at this point. I don't find it funny.
Well, I totally understand from another point of view how that's absolutely inappropriate, but from a personal level, I'm not offended, I'm not hurt. Some of them are actually like, yeah, that's kind of true.
What's an example, I guess?
Yeah, actually, I might move again. Me as a Korean, like if I were to say something about like how I feel like a lot of Koreans behave, like Koreans love K-pop, like boy bands. It could be funny, and it's not necessarily an offensive stereotype.
But growing up with like Asian men have small penises and all sorts of other emasculating kind of stereotypes. Those kind of stereotypes play into like, why can't I be the love interest? Because I have a small penis, but I don't actually know
true
that.
too.
Why does it matter?
What you're talking about is like a stereotype that's been put upon Asians by non-Asians. If we Asians want to talk about like subcultures in Asia and like make fun of shit, totally down. Might find it funny. We'll see how the joke is. Totally. I guess like when you say, when the statement is Asian stereotypes are funny, I'm often thinking about Western.
So you think, I was gonna say, so it's
I'm
the
like,
outside.
No, it's not funny.
It's the outsiders that's not.
Right, I'm gonna pause because everybody gets stereotyped though.
Yeah. I'm not mad at his like statement. Like, everybody like.
But everybody literally gets stereotyped. White people can't dance. Asians can't drive. Fucking what? Black people in a group of 5. Somebody is named Tyrone probably. Yeah. Or chicken. Or
genetically supposed
with
to
the
just
monkeys.
love chicken and shit.
Yeah, and with the monkeys.
Watermelon eating.
Shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's stereotypes in every fucking race, so I don't know. I understand what he's saying, I guess, but
no, I get what he's saying.
He's kind of blurring the line a little bit because he's saying like Western.
I guess he was saying it hurts, or he doesn't like it more when but that's everybody. You don't like it more when like somebody outside the subgroup. The subgroup kind of I guess
I understand.
Brings that
We
stereotype.
don't like it if a white person would say that, oh, well, black people like chicken, shit like that, but some shit like that. I don't know. It was kind of
I get it.
He kind of blurred the lines a little bit. But everybody gets the fucking stereotype. So him saying that it's played out, maybe. It's still funny though.
And the comedian dude,
he's funny as shit.
Yeah,
he's funny as shit.
He's like, I guess I'm gonna move again.
Like, explain that because I might move again.
He's like, that's valid.
So yeah, starting again in 3, 2, 1. I wouldn't know nothing about that. Easier how though? Like, what does that mean?
When you say it has it easier, I think it discounts the amount of work that's gone into building those communities up. People working up towards, becoming professionals or white-collar professionals. Like, I don't think Asians have it easier. I think many Asians have just fought harder. I'm not saying the other communities don't. I just think they have earned it.
I think that part of like how white supremacy works to kind of like cover up is to say like, well, if this one group of minorities is doing so well, then there can't be racism in this country. Yeah. We as Asian Americans have to understand that we are props for white supremacy when we buy into the idea that all of this stuff that we've gotten is purely through our hard work.
I think Asians who have it easier just because we're not portrayed so negatively.
Yeah, we don't have as many like overtly like negative stereotypes that are like thrown at us,
yes.
I mean, like, you look at immigration and like nobody's freaking out about Asians coming into the country, which I feel like it's just
damn. I ain't never paying no attention to that shit. I'm
a
pause. Yo,
that's a good valid point.
I ain't never pay no attention to that shit.
That's a good valid point.
It's only Indians and like Mexicans.
That
but
everybody,
Arabic and stuff. Or, I don't know. Fuck Muslims, if you want to go that far. I don't fucking know. But people from Israel and shit like that, like, Israel, whatever. But like those type of people and fucking Mexicans or Latinos or whatever the case is, I never even pay no attention to that.
Yeah, everybody's like,
I ain't seen an Asian that nice yet.
Huh?
I ain't seen an Asian that nice yet. I ain't seen that shit yet.
Yeah,
that's surprising. I ain't paid no attention to that shit.
Yeah, that's why I was like, that's why I agree with old girl when she was talking about with those, I guess you say positive stereotype.
Yeah.
Because like the positive stereotype that Asian people get is like that they're smart.
They're smart. They're real good at math.
Yeah.
Shit like that. Yeah.
And like, and that's being reinforced by the whole white supremacy thing.
I've never noticed that though.
Yeah, that was like a great example of like.
I've never noticed that. Yeah. Starting in 3, 2, 1.
Okay with it because it's not them right now. In that sense, I'm like, oh, we must have it easier because we're not concerned about what's happening to other people.
I will move to my heritage country permanently. 3, 2, 1.
Disagree.
Super conflicted on this one.
Somewhat disagree.
I went to the motherland maybe like 5 years ago, and I thought that it was just gonna be like so much fun, and they were gonna like be accepting, and for the most part they are. But when I went there, I realized
you're Americanized.
From here.
You're American to them.
Like it was really pretty obvious.
I mean, I definitely want to connect to the culture that I was born into, but also a huge part of my identity is my queerness. And in Malaysia, LGBTQ people definitely don't have the same legal protections, if they have any protections at all. And so that is painful to know that if I went back, I wouldn't be accepted.
It's a funny thing that happens when I go back to China, which is like the feeling that I never get here, which is like when you walk onto a public street, you feel like you're not identified by what you look like, which is amazing. But that being said, like I feel culturally I'm American. I love being here, and I think that being like an individual with freedom is like part of who I am, in the sense that I wouldn't necessarily fit in China. And I feel like so much of the time we're like asked to be like, well, are you Asian or are you American? It's like, no, I'm Asian American. I don't think we have to be that for this.
Asian culture is important to me. 3,
I'm pretty sure they don't all agree to that.
1.
They might not all feel the same way. Somewhat agree. Agree. Strongly agree.
It's important to me.
Don't go judge. It's all right.
It's okay. We just want to know what you think.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think about this a lot. Is like sometimes I forget that I'm Asian, and then like it's kind of jarring to be reminded that I am. And so like.
Were you raised like with strong cultural values and stuff?
I was raised. I'm a military brat, and so even though I grew up in Korea, it was on the military base, and so it was like an American high school in like a small American city in the middle of Seoul. Me and my brother were usually the only Asian kids, so I remember kind of like, do I want to stand out as like the only Asian kid, or do I just want to be another one of the kids?
I think there can be balance in that. And that was the biggest problem I had growing up, is that I didn't know if I wanted to be American so bad. I thought I had to choose a side, and then eventually I was like, look, both are part of who I am. But what has furthered this strongly agree part is that I have a 3-year-old child. He's half Chinese, half Vietnamese, and I don't want him to live with the confusion that I grew up with.
For me, like,
That's legit.
it actually, I feel a lot of pain still and a lot of grief, because when we moved to the US, and you know, this was like in a time still where you need to speak to your kids in English. They have to just know English, and anything else will confuse them. So my mom stopped speaking to me in Hakka, and I forgot that language. And we also didn't really celebrate any cultural traditions, you know, Chinese or Malaysian, or Chinese and Malaysian. I have no idea what that really is. And so my culture is important to me, but I'm still like trying to find my way back to it.
Like you grow up, you're like socialized to fit in, right? And often means casting aside like the culture that you grew up in. Like we're all experiencing it to some degree of like, hey, should I like look into like where I came from more? It's a great thing if you can be proud of where you came from. I'm glad that we're connecting to that.
That was so fun.
That was interesting.
Oh my goodness.
That was very, very
Can I be friends with all of you on social media?
I would love to be.
This guy is funny. I agree. I
still
definitely agree with that like last statement though.
Yeah, it's hard
Like,
because
if you strongly agree,
you know, if you don't know your history,
let us know what you thought.
then how can you like fully like
understand
it and like relate to it and shit like that?
Yeah, because like
you don't know anything, so like
that's the whole
you're
thing.
literally
Like
just
us.
going off hand of whatever you've been
fed,
told, or that's it, and that's it. Just like old girl said, like her mother told her to like, all right, the only way you're gonna make it in America is if you learn English and learn all this other shit. So like our culture and shit like that, that's pretty much gonna get erased, and it got erased out of her fucking mind. Like she forgot the whole language that her mother started speaking to her and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's crazy. Yeah,
that is like insane. But like, I think I think to have like, I want to say the perfect balance to like probably create like the perfect utopia somewhat in the near future. Hopefully we get our, like everybody in the world gets their shit together.
Good luck.
Yeah, right. But like it's okay for us to celebrate our differences and like learn where each individual person comes from. Mm-hmm. But I think at times we tend to forget that technically, I mean, we're all one race, which is just human. So and
that gets forgotten in the midst of everything, my nigga. We all skin and bones.
Yeah, I think
people forget that shit.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget that at the end of the day all the time. Like, that like it's okay to celebrate whatever heritage you are, or like learn like where your physical I want to say like your physical background or traits or whatever, or your like family tree, whatever, wherever you came from.
Everybody just get a 23andMe.
He said everybody get a 23andMe. But at the same time, you have to remember, like, we're all human. And I think sometimes we forget that. And that's why we have, like, so many issues. And sometimes, we have the stereotypes and everything. So
racial tension and all that good shit.
Oh, yeah.
Right?